Hey everyone, this is Chase at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, and this is our Yamaha PW50 dirt bike overview. So I'm sure a lot of you out there know that Yamaha, they have a lot of great youth bikes in the lineup, bikes that are easy to ride and really great for young kids to learn on. In this video, we're going to cover the PW50. Now PW actually stands for Pee-wee, and the PW50 is easily one of the most popular youth bikes that is out there. You probably ask any current pro rider what bike they got started on, they're probably going to tell you it's the PW50. And what's great about these, there's a ton of them out there. At Rocky Mountain, we carry a lot of OEM and aftermarket parts and accessories. So even if you do pick one up in pretty rough shape, we're going to have all the parts and accessories that you need to get that thing up and running, get in good condition. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to talk about this bike. We're going to give a little background history on it. We're going to talk about the specs, but we're also going to talk about sizing. When it comes to these youth bikes, probably one of the biggest question marks that people have is what size rider, what age range is going to be a good fit for this motorcycle. So that's what we're going to help you out with. We're even going to bring a youth rider in, have them get on the bike so you can use that rider as a size reference to help you know what size, what age range is going to be great. And then to finish all off, we're going to give you some tips and some tricks just to help you get the most out of this little bike. So Yamaha started making the PW50 back in 1981. They're still making them currently. And what's great about these is that they really haven't changed anything. So even if you find an older model, all the current parts and accessories are going to bolt onto these things just fine. Now, as far as the engine size, is a 49cc air-cooled two-stroke engine. A very reliable motor. These things last forever, and what's cool about these is very low maintenance. So you actually have a shaft final drive, so you don't have any chain maintenance that you have to worry with this bike. And also, it's auto lube oil injection. So you don't have to mix gas with this little bike. So all you do is you actually have this oil reservoir up here in the front, just behind the front number plate. So you pour your oil in there, just pour your regular gas in the gas tank, and it'll actually just mix the gas for you. But it's very important that you do not want to let this oil run out. If you let that run out, you could possibly seize the engine. Now, if you have a bike that does have a seized motor, or it's just not running correctly, we actually have a QA parts cylinder and piston kit for about 50 bucks. That's just a direct bolt-on replacement. We've actually used them in a lot of PW50s, and they work awesome. So again, not very expensive to repair these if yours does need a little bit of TLC. But very smooth engine, again, very easy for kids to learn to ride on. It's a fully automatic, so there is no shifting whatsoever. The youth rider does not have to pull in a clutch. So your two levers on the handlebars, on the left is going to be for your rear brake, on the right is going to be for the front brake. And also with the throttle, you have a screw so you can adjust the throttle to where it stops. So if you have a youth rider who's just learning to ride, you want to prevent them from opening the throttle too much, you're going too fast, you can actually just adjust that throttle stop screw, and that way it just makes it a little bit safer for the rider. It's going to be a kickstart. It's not electric start. The kickstart is down here on the left side of the bike. You actually have this switch here on the handlebar on the right side. So you have the off, you're going to have the start position as well as the run. And like I said, these things are very reliable. This little PW50, I think it's a 2002. This thing fires right up every time we kick it over. Now, as far as the suspension goes, you're going to have about 2 inches of travel in the front as well as the rear. And another great benefit to being the two-stroke is the weight. So this bike actually weighs about 90 pounds. That's with the gas tank full. It's a 0.5 gallon gas tank. But when you compare that to some of the other bikes of the other 50s, say the Yamaha 4-stroke TTR 50, that actually weighs 126 pounds. And if you look at the CRF 50 from Honda, that actually weighs 110 pounds. So the two-stroke definitely makes this a lighter bike, which is just going to make it a little bit easier for those youth riders. So next up, let's talk about who this bike is going to be for. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, one of the big deciding factors if you're going to get this bike is, well, is it going to fit the rider? And what's the age range that's going to be good for that? So let's talk about dimensions. So this bike's seat height is 18.7 inches. And if you're comparing that to some of the other 50s that are out there, say the Yamaha TTR 50, it's going to be about 3.2 inches shorter than that bike, and it's going to be about 3 inches shorter than the CRF 50 from Honda, and then you have the JR 50 from Suzuki, which is going to be about the same height as this bike. But what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in that youth rider. We're going to have her sit on the bike. We're going to give her age and her height. That way you can use her as a reference as to what size rider and age is going to be a good fit. All right, so now I have my little helper here. This is Audrey. Audrey is what, six years old? And Audrey is 3 feet 10 inches tall. So I'm going to have her hop on this PW50 so you can use her as a reference as far as size and age range for the PW50. So I'm going to get this off the stand. Go ahead and hop on there for me, Audrey. So at 3 feet 10 inches tall, Audrey can easily touch her feet to the ground. You can see with her feet on the foot pegs. You can put your feet back down for me. Perfect. So we would say that Audrey is right at the upper end as far as height goes for the PW50, and again, she's 6 years old. So age range, we would say 6 years and younger, and then you can use her as a frame of reference as far as height goes to know what size rider is going to be a good fit for this bike. Thank you, Audrey. All right, so now that you know what size rider, what age range is a good fit for the bike, we just want to give you a couple tips and tricks to help you out to get the most out of this bike. And the first one is open her up and letting her breathe. These bikes come pretty restricted right off the showroom floor. So a couple of things that you can do to help out with that and get a little bit more performance out of the bike is the restrictor plate. So when you look at the exhaust header that where it attaches to the cylinder, if you pull that off, you'll notice there's a restrictor plate there. Take that restrictor plate off. It's going to allow a lot more airflow to go through. And if you want to, you can couple that with the silencer from FMF that we carry. It's just going to help this bike breathe a little bit better. Again, a little bit added performance. The other tip is with the carburetor. So on these smaller bikes, carburetors, the jets are pretty dang small. They do gunk up pretty easily. So it's a good idea to go through and clean out those jets just to help this thing run as best as possible. And also, if you're going to be letting your bike sit for a long period of time, it's a good idea to drain out the float. That way you're not letting gas sit in there. That's going to help prevent those from gunking up. But also, if you just want to replace the carburetor entirely, you don't really want to hassle with taking it off, opening it up, cleaning out the jets, we do offer a full replacement carburetor from QA Parts. Less than 20 bucks, direct bolt-on replacement, and those things work awesome. So a couple of things that you can do there, again, just to help get a little bit more performance and some maintenance tips. But now, we'll just show you some of the things that we put on this bike just to help freshen it up a little bit and things that we think are necessary. So first up, got some new grips on here. These are the ODI mini grips. Got a lot of different colorways. You can pick which one your youth rider is going to like the most. And then we've got brake levers. So again, like I mentioned earlier, front brake and rear brake are both up on the handlebars. So on the right side here, we've got the Tuss brake lever. The right side was broken actually when we picked this bike up, so we replaced it with that. And it's always not a bad idea to pick up a few extra brake levers. You know, if Junior or Little Misses does have a tip over, brake levers are typically one of the first things to break. So having an extra lying around is going to help you out. They're very inexpensive, so get you a couple extra. The plastics on this bike, they were pretty worn out and faded when we first picked it up. So we've got the QA Parts plastics on here, which comes with your tank, your seat, your front number plate and front shroud, or excuse me, front fender, along with your number plates as well. So it comes with everything that you're going to need, and then we top that all off with a graphics kit from Attack Graphics. Get the rider's name and number on there. Kids absolutely love it when they have a custom graphics kit. And to finish all off, tires. Tires are something that we think is often overlooked with these youth bikes, but having a good set of tires on there, it's going to offer more traction and grip for the rider, and ultimately, it really just gives more confidence when they're learning to ride. And that is it. That is our overview of the Yamaha PW50. Again, if you have a youth rider who is just starting out, very small rider, and you want to get on a bike that's going to be fun and very easy to learn on, this would be a really good option. If you have any questions or comments about anything that we talked about today, or maybe you have some tips of your own, if you have a PW50, make sure to share those below. That's going to help other people out. And to pick up any of the parts and accessories that we talked about today, it's very simple. Just click on the link or head over to RockyMountain-ATVMC.com. Get subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you're looking for other youth bikes, we've done a lot of overviews just like the one we just did today. So get subscribed, watch those videos, and that way you also stay up to date on the kids' dirt bike overviews that we're going to be doing later on. I'm Chase at Rocky Mountain. We'll see you on the trails.